Hello again. Good to be back. This is going to be a follow-up video on the card video, and I had a couple ideas to throw out there that you could implement in your cards, okay? And I was browsing through the Material CSS or Materialize, right? And they have a really nice card in there. So let's go find that. I'm going to look up Material CSS, okay? And go to Materialize here. And then I'm going to search for card. Okay, and they have card HTML. It's a little hard to read on my screen, but these are their cards, right? Let me zoom in on this a little bit, right? So here's a basic card. This one, they have a different color in the background, so you could, think about doing your cards with a different color. They actually do the color by adding a color class name. So they say card as the class, and then they do blue-gray, right? And then darken one or whatever, right? Okay, and then here they have another card, right? And in this case, they have a card that has, class card, and then they have a div that's card image, and then it has the image inside it. So they have some extra markup here to make the card work. We are assuming that the image is a child of the card element and that it always fills the width of the card, right? So we don't need this extra markup for our implementation, right? So, Bootstrap is using this, right? And then they have a span in here called card title. And when they give this the card title, you can see the card title ends up in front of the card like this rather than below it, okay? So I thought that this was kind of a cool style that we could implement, right? So let's talk about that for a moment. I'm gonna go look up HTML figure. And so I'm going to do mine a little differently, right? So remember, they've got a div called card image, and then they follow it up with a span with card title, right? But instead of using this arrangement here, I'm going to suggest that we use the figure tag and the fig caption tag. So the figure tag is used for an image. Anytime you, like if you think about books, like you're in a textbook, and you see it says you're reading something about and the parts of the brain are, and then see figure 6, right? Okay, so for some reason this web page is loading like really slowly there. Okay, there we go, right? So you can see here, like in the markup there, they have the figure tag, and then closing figure tag, and inside the figure tag you have an image and the fig caption, right? So this figure tag is used in the same way those captions are created in books, or they're meant to be used in the same way. They're meant to create a structure in our HTML pages that associates a block of text or description with an image. Okay, so here I have an image, a picture of Truly, right? And then figure 1 is Truly Puglia, India, or Italy. Puglia, yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that, right? But this is what this is for, right? So, and then they're like, try it yourself, let's check it out, right? So there's the picture of someplace in Italy, and it says figure 1 underneath it. That's the use of this, right? So we're showing that these things are related, right? So this figure tag says like, hey, these two things go together. Now, you could have done it the way Bootstrap did it, right? But it's not necessarily obvious that these two things go together. And when I say that, I don't mean obvious to you and me, because we have brains, we're not computers, we can look at that and we can say like, oh, well, obviously they meant that these two things go together. Like the card title goes with the card, right? With the image of the card, right? The computer though is a little different, right? So the computer doesn't know things go together, but if we use the figure tag, right, then we're saying that this is a group of things that work together. So the figure says this is a picture with maybe a caption, and the fig caption says I'm the caption for the figure, right? And where is this useful? Well, it would be good for search. So search engines would know that the text here relates to the picture that you have here, okay? Another way this is useful is with screen readers. So if someone is using a screen reader, right, because they have a mobility or a vision, impairment, then the screen reader will see that this figure and the fig caption go together. Okay, and so it can say like, hey, there's an image here and here's the caption for that image. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that we use that setup in our card. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way, right? Let me get my markup here. And, you know, I'm going to start with the same markup here for this cat in the tube right there. And maybe I'll put it up here like this. Now I have like two cats, right? Okay. And for the first cat here, I'm going to add a figure. So our markup works right now with just the image by itself, so anybody can use this kind of arrangement to create a card, or if they want, they can put a figure in there. Now the figure is kind of ruining my thing here because the figure comes with some markup. So I'm going to go to the inspector, or not markup, but it comes with some style. So if I go to the inspector here and I select the figure, you can see the orange area is a bunch of margin. So the figure adds a lot of margin around the outside. So we need to remove that margin. Okay, so we'll have to get rid of that. And then maybe I also want to add a fig caption here. Okay, and maybe this is going to be, I'm just going to take, you can put anything in a fig caption. So I'm going to put this H3 in there. So instead of having it down here, I'm going to move it up here. And then the idea when we're done is I'm going to move it so it sits in front of the picture like we saw in the bootstrap or the materialize example, right? Okay, so that's looking pretty good so far. We got to get rid of that margin though. So let's try that, right? So remember, figure has some margin. So here I am, I'm in my framework styles. So this can be just part of the framework directly. And we can say anytime you have a card that has a child figure, right? So the child figure, so immediate child, it's going to be margin 0. Okay, so that kind of gets us back to where we were, right? So now the figure will just expand to fill the space, right? Let's actually hover over it here, right? So we can kind of, I guess when that thing is so narrow you can't see it. Oh yeah, there's my figure there. It's getting squashed a little bit, but the image is going outside of it. So we should probably maybe we should borrow these same styles right here. I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it like this though, because this is simpler. But you know, that could be a consideration too, right? We could give it width 100% and then use this same arrangement to set its position, right? So so let's do that. So now the next thing is to get this caption here, because this is actually in the fig caption right now. I want to move this so it's in front of the picture like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new style down here. So I have card child figure and then child fig caption. Okay, so any fig caption that's in a figure that's in a card is going to be oh wait, let's do one more thing. It's going to have some styles here, but let's make the figure position relative, okay? Because it's going to be our relative ancestor, right? And then that means that when we get to the fig caption here, I can say position absolute, okay? And now I don't see, like the card actually is kind of overlapping these things, right? I don't see it on top here yet, because we haven't set its left, top, right, or bottom property. So let's move it to the left and bottom of the card. And then if you want, you can stack some extra styles or extra class names in there that maybe position it in different ways. So let's do that, right? So let's say you should be left of 0, right? And then bottom of 0. Okay, so now I see the text here in front of the caption, and I could have done that with this one too, right? So so that looks good. Maybe also if you're a fig caption, in front of an image, maybe we probably want the color to be a light color. Now, it depends on the image, right? So if the image is light, we want a dark color, and if the image is dark, we want a light color. We can't really figure that out, right? The designer is going to have to do that, right? So they'll have to adjust the colors to taste, but maybe as a guess, we'll guess that the color should be white, and you could use your CSS variable here, right? So you gotta use your color light or foreground color or whatever you want to use, right? So I'll do it like this. So that gives us a style there, right? And this one would work the same way. So like if I added a new card to my page, maybe I'll copy this card right here. I'm gonna put it below the other cards, right? If I wanted this one to work out, then I don't have to do any more work. I'll just put a figure in there and add a fig caption, right? So I'll say fig caption like this, and then I'll take the H3 there like that, right? So now you can see like, oh, I got the foo cat appears in front of the Domo image. So anytime you want to create a card, you don't have to write extra styles. The framework is going to do that for us. Anybody that could use that is using your framework can make a card with this kind of arrangement just by making a div with class card and then making a figure inside there and then giving it a fig caption. Okay? So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that's interesting. That gives us like a real practical example for how to how to implement or where we might use position relative and position absolute. Actually, before we stop, let me throw in one bonus item. Like, let's imagine that it's possible we might want to move this fig caption, but we might want to place it here or up here, right? So in any of the four corners, right? So let's add another class. So, we don't want to overdo it with the classes, but we can add a couple simple classes. So let's do, how about card, child, figure, child, fig, caption with the class, let's do the class right like this, okay? So anytime you have a fig caption that's in a figure, that's in a card, if it has the right class, we're going to move it over to the right. So I'm just going to say, how about, I'm going to do left of inherit to get rid of the original left. And then I'm going to say, because if I do right and left, we might have a problem with how the text aligns. So I'm going to do it, you know what I mean? Because it'll want to do both. So then I'm going to do right of 0, okay? So let's try it on the card here. And what I want to do is I want to move the, I want to give it the class. So if someone's using our framework, they can go to the fig caption and say class of right. And then the name is over here on the right side, okay? Let's do, here my challenge to you is make one of these styles that allows you to put it at the top also, right? So then you could do top or top right, or you could just do normal and then right for the bottom or top right, okay? So give that a try. Try and do the style here where it can be, you can say top or right, okay? And so you'll just add another class up here to handle that, okay? So anyway, so thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you make the best cards possible and furthers your study of CSS.